Alright, so this is our next video for chapter 5. It's actually our last video for chapter 5. We're done with chapter 5. We went over the trig ratios, the sine law, and the cosine law. Today we're actually going to sort of put it all together and go over random problems and try to figure out which one of those do we want to use. Our trig ratios, our sine law, or cosine law. Because in any question, I'm not going to say, use the sine law to solve. No, I'm just going to say find this angle of this triangle or find that side of this triangle, right? And you need to know which one of these is going to be best to use. So this is what we're doing. It's the last part of our package. Okay. We'll do some examples and I'll let you do the rest, and then I'll post all of these onto the Google Classroom next to this video. Okay, now this chart is analyzing all of these triangles on the next couple of pages. And then there's some practice questions, word problem practice questions. Okay, once we're done with this, please go and print out the chapter 5 assignment. If you can't print it out, then just work on a piece of paper as you look at the questions. And next week I will post a Google form quiz with questions that I go through and pick from that chapter 5 assignment. Okay, so take some time to work on it. I probably won't post the quiz till Tuesday. So take today, the weekend, Monday, work through the assignment. All right, so getting started. This one, I'm going to do the first 3 examples. Now the first example says triangle ABC. Triangle ABC is right here. This is there. It's right there. A, B, C. So let me just draw it on the board so you can see it better. We have A, B, C, and they give us B, which is 62 degrees. They give us C, which is 35 degrees. And they give us that side, and they're asking for this side. Now in the chart, it says find B, which is this. And it says, what are you given? Well, we're given this side, so we're given C. We're given the angle C, and we're given the angle B. So that's what we're given. And then in the chart it says, state the law required and the formula using the correct letters. Okay. Well, let's see. How would we use this? Would we use our trig ratios, SOHCAHTOA? And the answer is no, because none of those angles is 90 degrees, and SOHCAHTOA can only be used on a right angle triangle. So we're left with 2 other options, sine law or cosine law. Okay, well, sine law, we would use this over this, we would create this ratio, and then we can create this ratio. In this case it works, because this ratio we could completely solve for because we know both, the angle and the side. And this ratio, right, we know the angle, but we don't know the side, and that's what we're looking for. And so we only have one unknown, so we can solve for that unknown. So we're going to use the sine law. And the equation would be B over sine B equals C over sine C. Alright, so that's all we're doing. We're not going to go ahead and solve it. You can if you want to. It's great practice to go ahead and solve it. But there's going to be lots of word problems later that we can use to actually solve and punch things into our calculator for. So let's try the next example. Next example says triangle PQR. PQR. There's PQR. Looks like this. We have a right angle. So a right angle is a hint. Trig ratios. But in this case, it doesn't give you either one of those angles. Right? It gives you this side and asks for that side. Well, there's something else we can do whenever we have a right angle triangle. The Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So given these 2 sides, which are sides Q and R. So given Q and R, we can solve for P. And we would simply write that P squared equals the longest one, the hypotenuse, right, which is Q squared minus R squared. And why did I not do a plus here? Isn't Pythagorean theorem a squared plus b squared equals c squared? Well, yes, but remember, it's short side squared plus short side squared equals long side squared. We're not solving for the long side. We're solving for the short sides. So if you take your regular Pythagorean theorem, which you see as this, and you rearrange to solve for one of the small sides, well, you bring this term to the other side, and it becomes a squared equals c squared minus b squared. Okay, so be careful whether or not you're solving for the hypotenuse or one of the shorter sides. All right. Now I'm going to let you try the rest on your own. And we're going to skip over to these problems. Okay, there are 7 problems. I'm going to do one of them with you. And then I'll let you try the rest and I will post the answers. Okay, the one I want to do with you is question number 3. So question number 3 says an isosceles triangle has 2 sides, which are both 6.8 centimeters, and 2 angles, which are both 52 degrees. That would make up an isosceles triangle. Let's just draw that. Let's make these are angles 52. And those opposite sides would be the same as 6.8. Then it says calculate the perimeter of the triangle. So the perimeter is adding up all the lengths of the sides. So I need to know this side. Let's call it A. So this will be side A. And this will be angle A. All right. So how can I find side A? Right? In order to find the perimeter, I need A. So how can I find A? Well, is this a right angle triangle? No, it's an isosceles triangle. So we can't use SOHCAHTOA or Pythagorean theorem. So we're left with sine law or cosine law. Cosine law, to find A, you would need to know the opposite angle in those 2 sides. Right? So SAS, S-A-S, side, angle, side. But we don't know that angle. We could figure out that angle. Right? Because we know these 2 angles. So you can say the sum of all interior angles is 180 minus the other 2. And then we can use cosine law. Great. What about sine law? Can we use sine law? Well, if we're looking for this, we'd form a ratio here. And then we can do a ratio here or here. And we know both of those. So yeah, we could do sine law too. And you can use either sine law or cosine law. Pick your favorite. But whichever one you're going to use, you're going to need to know this angle first. So to do that, we'll find angle A by using the interior angle theorem, which say all angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So we'll do 180 minus 52 minus 52. Okay? And that's going to equal 76 degrees. So this angle here is 76 degrees. And now you can pick your favorite. I'll use the sine law. It's certainly a little bit easier, especially with acute angles. And we're not going to talk about sine law in obtuse angles. But, I mean, by all means, try the cosine law. You should get the same answer that I get with sine law. Okay, so to do sine law, since I'm solving for A, I'm going to put that on the numerator. So A over sine of the angle A. And then you can choose whichever one you want. In this case, it's an isosceles triangle, so they're the exact same. So we'll do 6.8 over the sine of 52. All right, now rearranging. Okay, we actually know what A is. It's 76 now. This is why we needed to do the interior angle theorem first. And now we can multiply both sides by the sine of 76 to get what a is. So a equals the sine of 76 multiplied by this ratio, 6.8 over the sine of 52. Right? And we can punch that into our calculator and get a equal to 8.4. So a is 8.4. Is it meters or it's centimeters? So these are all centimeters. All right. Now we're not quite done because the question did say to find the perimeter. So to find the perimeter, we just need to add all the lengths for all the sides. So the perimeter then equals 6.8 centimeters plus 6.8 centimeters plus 8.4 centimeters. And when we do that, we get 22 centimeters. So there's our perimeter. All right, so try the rest of the questions. I'll post my solutions. And then start working on assignment 3 into the beginning of next week, and then I'll post the quiz. After that, we move on to chapter 6. Around mid of next week, we'll go on to chapter 6. Maybe towards the end of next week, because I'll give you time to do the assignment in the beginning of the week, and then in the middle of the week, time to work on the Google Form quiz. The quiz shouldn't take too long, though, if you've done the assignment, because it's the exact same questions. All right, have a good weekend.